Good morning, everybody. Greetings from Ireland, and I hope you get something from this video here today. A friend just asked me, is there anything in particular that I've done in my life or that I can attribute the way I am now? Just feeling so well and connected and such an inner peace and contentment, and not struggling and having ease, and basically just being the way I am now with like many blessings. Is there anything that I would attribute all of these things to in life in particular? She said, I know the raw foods help a lot, and they absolutely do help enormously. But like this, I had a profound change long before I discovered the power of raw and living foods. So I'd like to just talk about that just briefly for everybody's sake. I want to share pretty much the two things that I'd attribute to most that have profoundly changed my life. It's maybe you could even extend it to 3 or 4 or 5 things, but I'll talk about it, alright? The first thing I'd say is 5 years ago I had an enormous shift, and you can't pinpoint it to one thing. It was a mixture of lots of stuff. But what happened around this time was I started reading again. I started continuing to read The Power of Now. I read around the first third of the book, and it didn't really soak in much, but it soaked in a little bit. A year break happened, and then I picked it up again. And this time I'd gone through more suffering in life, and I guess I was like ready to absorb it very, very, very well. And the number one practice that I started to do that completely shifted my life totally and utterly, and I can just say within the space of like 2 months or less, all I could say was there was no turning back, and I'd undergone a big shift in the sense that I felt a massive inner peace that I'd never ever felt anything like before. It was like a complete changeover, like like caterpillar to a butterfly. I used to suffer so much, tremendously, like emotionally and psychologically. Stressed, anxious, sad, lonely, upset, confused, worried, thinking that I'm a lost cause and that the future isn't going to be that good and all this stuff. And the thing is, they're all just thoughts, okay? So I wasn't living in the moment, and I was continuously always having racing thoughts, one after the other, and feeling the emotional unease and stress and tension and worry and anxiety that came along with that. And stuff like resentment and bitterness and regret from the past as well. Yeah. So the Power of Now worked. The practice I started to practice, which is my number one reason that I'm going to mention now, is I started watching my thoughts. I won't use the word, I'll say not intensely, but very acutely and very attentively. I started watching them really, really closely. I became vividly aware of my thoughts and the related emotions that followed and came along with my thoughts, okay? So I became to realize all of the suffering that I was causing myself, but I wasn't causing it myself. It wasn't the true I, the formless being, the the invisible force, whatever words you want to use as a pointer. I knew myself as this witnessing watcher. I was here and being the witnessing watcher here, okay? And I became to realize that my thoughts and emotions were over here. So I was here and my thoughts and emotions were here. Before I thought I wasn't my thoughts and everything. But then there was a separation where I realized for the first time ever in my life that I'm actually the silent, still witnessing, watcher, observer thing. And that I am with my thoughts. So I could there's a space in between my thoughts and me, who I am, watching, the observer. And I used to watch my thoughts. And if I felt bad on the inside, like I felt uncomfortable or upset or whatever, I just pay really close attention to my thoughts and realized I was thinking a whole lot of worries and thoughts about the future that haven't happened and they probably won't even happen. And this was just the ego part of me, the ego aspect of me as a whole being on the planet, having a human experience. So I didn't have to renounce or deny the ego. I didn't take it personally because it's not me. It's like so-called somebody else or something else. It's not me, the true I. So therefore I can't take it personally. It's not me. So I was watching it as if almost you'd watch somebody else. Like, for example, if, let's say, your car got robbed, you might feel upset or angry because it's attached to you, okay? But if you're not actually attached to this, as in emotionally dependent, then you might not get any stress, annoyance, or anger. But you just try and get the insurance or buy a new car or find out where it is. And that can be done in peace and ease on the inside. But if somebody else's car gets robbed, like a stranger or someone you never even heard of, you hear on the paper, or someone's car was robbed, because you have no association or attachment to that, it's not going to bother you at all. And so the same way with the ego, it's not me, so it's like somebody else's. Like, it's like watching a different thing going on in your mind. If I heard thoughts that I could say, whoa, they're crazy, like I could realize that they're nonsense, not true, and causing me suffering, I wouldn't have to say. A lot of people do this. They say, there's something wrong with me, like, why am I always doing this? I always have this problem with my thoughts. And they take the ego personally, and their mind, not them, their mind, and I guess their ego talks in their mind, and they end up creating a problem with the ego as if it's like an issue they have. But this is just taking it far too seriously and giving it far too much power and attention. All you got to do is silently watch it, like you're watching or listening, reading a paper or watching a movie about somebody else. There's no need to get upset by it or by what you hear or what you see going on in your mind. People see images and they replay movies and events from the past, and they start visualizing bad things happening in the future. They're not going to get the job, or they're going to lose the house, or that the person that they really like won't like them back or won't love them back, or it's all these things, that haven't happened.